Thank you very much, Professor. First of all, I would like to apologize for being late. It is unfortunately my mistake, so once again, I'm very sorry. The second, I would like to thank the organizer, especially Professor Shilaji, for inviting me once again to the research group and for giving me the opportunity to share today with you my research. The subject of my speech is migration crisis in Europe. Is there a need for a new Eurocrime? The ongoing migration crisis in Europe since at least 2015 continues to raise questions about measures to prevent illegal entry and stay of migration. I'm sorry, it's late. And say of migrants in EU member state. A state has the right to protect, of course, its own borders against uncontrolled flows of irregular migrants and to decide whom to allow into its own territory. The discussion so far on measures to control migration flows has mainly focused only on administrative measures, not on other measures. Meanwhile, measures of criminal repression are also an important element in preventing irregular migration. And some EU member states, especially member states from Southern Europe, like Italy or Spain, include in their criminal legislation the offense of illegal entry and stay on their territory. The similar crime was also in Polish penal code, but it was cancelled. It was cancelled, I think, in 2005. The current needs of EU member states to combat illegal migration are very high. Many EU member states are not only transit countries, but also destination countries for irregular migration. Forcible border crossing, especially, for example, Polish-Belarusian border, and illegal border crossing by persons wanted in international level, including for crimes of terrorist nature, are also increasing common. The EU has the competence to establish minimum standards for criminalizations at European level and to define penalties for certain offenses. It is so-called Eurocrimes, and this matter is included into Article 83.1 Treaty on Functioning of European Union, and this provision includes the following Eurocrimes: terrorism, trafficking in human beings, sexual exploitation, illicit drug trafficking, illicit arms trafficking, money laundering, corruption, counterfeiting of means of payment, computer crime, and organized crime. And this catalog is not closed. And depending on the development of crime, the Council may adopt a decision defining other Eurocrime. However, this is subject to the condition that the offense should belong to particular serious crime with a cross-border dimension. The second condition is that the type or impact of the offenses should be very high, and the third condition is the particular need to combat the crime jointly. It means by all European Union states. Such a decision taken by Council is taken in two stages. First, the Council decides on the addition of a new Eurocrime to the catalog from Article 83, and the second stage, then Council decides on the definition and scope, on the definition of crime and the scope of jurisdiction. Given the current state of law, the minimum standards may concern three offenses linked to irregular migration, such as cross-border organized crime, trafficking in human beings, and money laundering. These are the subject of more detailed regulation in secondary legislation, obliging member states to criminalize certain behavior in national law and to establish jurisdiction over these offenses. However, the criminalization of these types of offense is of a general nature and doesn't only apply to migration-related crimes. The establishment of minimum standards of European level for organized crime, trafficking in human beings and money laundering contributes significantly to the fight against such crime, but will not lead to stop the mass migration flows experienced by especially Southern and Central European countries. This is the next presentation, unfortunately. The EU has partially recognized the lack of criminalization of illegal migration carried out outside the activities of organized criminal groups, and in 2002 regulated the assisting of a non-national to enter or transit illegally through the territory of a member state. To date, however, the EU legislator has not addressed the underlying conduct. This is, in my view, a deliberate exercise, albeit one that has not been thoroughly analyzed. Moreover, the European Commission has not included a proposal for criminalization in the new Migration Pact. In the meantime, the criminalization of illegal entry and illegal stay in violation of EU law may prove to be an effective tool in the fight against illegal migration. The establishment of minimum standards at European level requires an assessment of the fulfillment of the criteria included in Article 83.1 for the establishment of a new crime. Illegal migration into the EU has assumed such large proportion that member states have largely lost the ability to effectively control the flow of people across the European Union external borders. The problem has a pan-European dimension due to both the multiplicity of directions from which illegal migrants attempt to enter member states and country of destination they consider. Illegal migration is thus of a cross-border nature, and illegal border crossing have very serious implications for all member states. This is not only about the financial impact, but also about the prevention, especially against terroristic threats. Illegal migration gives rise to other crimes, and uncontrolled migration flows pose a threat to the security of EU member states. Often the driving force behind irregular migration is organized criminal groups for whom organizing the illegal transportation of migrants is a source of income. Many European countries criminalize illegal border crossing and illegal stay on the territory of a member state, especially countries from the Southern Europe. Activity at the EU level linked to the adoption of a minimum rules defining a new criminal offence will unify practice in this area and facilitate the prosecution of the crime linked to illegal migration. The lack of criminalization of illegal border crossing or illegal residence means above all the impossibility of criminal cooperation between member states, as cooperation tools such as the European arrest warrant or European investigation order. The possible extension of the catalogue of the Euro crimes to include unlawful crossing of the border of the member state and illegal stay on its territory is not opposed by international agreements binding EU member state. Sorry. In contrast, voices condemning the criminalization of illegal immigration are raised by the Human Rights Council and the Arbitrary Detention Group. Both of these bodies consider that illegal migration is not per se a crime against person, property, or national security. Both bodies also consider that illegal migrants are not criminals by definition and should not be treated as such. However, possible criminalization at European level, the new Eurocrime, should be subject to, according to my position, three limitations. First limitation, only the unlawful crossing of the external border of the EU member state should be a criminal offense. When it comes to crossing internal border between EU member state, we have a free movement of people. So it is the only possibility to criminalize a crossing external border of EU member state. Second limitation, only the crossing of a border by a person who does not have the nationality of an EU member state or the right to reside in the EU member state or who does not enjoy international protection in a member state is to be considered criminal. The 1951 Refugee Convention prohibits state parties from imposing penalties for illegal entry or stay on refugees, but subject this prohibition to two limitations included in Article 31.1 of the Refugee Convention. First limitation from the Refugee Convention, the prohibition of punishment extends only to those refugees who have come directly from a territory where their lives or freedom were in danger. And the second limitation from the Refugee Convention, in order to obtain guarantees of impunity, refugees must report immediately to the authorities and present credible reasons for their illegal entry or stay. So the prohibition of punishment doesn't apply to persons who do not have refugee status, because, for example, they don't meet the condition for granting refugee status, and to persons who are refugees within the meaning of the convention, but the conditions of immediacy and impunity are not met. And the third limitation when it comes to criminalization of new Eurocrime, the criminalization of illegal entry or illegal stay on the territory of EU member state should not apply to victims of organized criminal groups or trafficking in human being. It is connected with United Nations Convention from 2000 concerning transnational migration, transnational organized crime, and especially with the protocol to this convention from 2003. The protocol from 2003 contains an explicit clause according to which migrants will not be subject to criminal liability on the grounds that they have become objects of smuggling or certain offenses committed to enable the smuggling of migrants. Summing up, according to me, it is possible to define a new Eurocrime at EU level, and creation of new Eurocrime may prove difficult, but it is worthwhile to conduct a thorough analysis and debate on such a solution. Especially climate change or the instability and impoverishment of so-called southern countries, especially now in Syria, will constantly put migration pressure on wealthy and stable EU member states. So criminalization of illegal border crossing or illegal residence may prove to be an effective tool to combat illegal migration. Thank you very much, and thank you for your attention.